Okay, so today we're going to be working on Chapter 3, Lesson, not 4, Lesson 5. Chapter 3, Lesson 5 is all about graphing using intercepts. Now, we talked about intercepts yesterday. We talked about the y-intercept. The y-intercept is b. It's the value of it's the value of y when x equals 0. So if the y-intercept is the value of y when x equals 0, then the x-intercept is going to be the value of x when y equals 0. So you're just going to be given equations, and you're going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y, then plug in 0 for y and solve for x. So for instance, if I give you the equation negative 6x plus 8y equals 24, you're going to solve this equation twice. Once you're going to make x equal 0. The second time you're going to make y equal 0. So you're going to say negative 6 times 0 plus 8y equals 24. Now, 6 times 0, or negative 6 times 0, is just 0. So our real problem is simply 8y equals 24. So if we divide by 8, we find out that y equals 3. So we've got this. Now we're going to go back to that same equation, and this time we're going to make y equal 0. So negative 6x plus 8y equals 24. So again, this is going to be 0 because it is being multiplied 0. So this goes away. So we really have negative 6x equals 24. We divide by the number in front of the letter, and we find out that x equals negative 4. We now have our two intercepts. We have 2 points. If we have 2 points, we can graph a line. So we come over here. I'm going to write this down, x and y. We had 0, 3, and negative 4, 0. So when we go to graph this, we are going to go over 0, up 3, over 0, up 3, 1, 2, 3. We are going to go left 4, up 0, left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 0. We have 2 points. We can draw a line. Whoops. Helps if you actually draw it on the paper and not on your ruler. That's how you find intercepts. Make x equals 0, find y-intercept. Make y equals 0, find the x-intercept. So what we have here is a simple graph. You need 2 points to draw a line. One of them is on the x-axis, which is this one, and one is here on the y-axis, which is this one. So 2 points both on an axis, okay? So let's try another one, just to make sure we understand what we're doing. So if I gave you something like negative 1/4 x minus 1/3 y equals 12. We're going to do it again. X and y, x is going to be 0, then y is going to be 0. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to write 2 different equations. The first time I'm going to write it, I'm going to get rid of the x, because when I multiply by 0, the x is going to go away. Negative 1/3 y equals 12. Then the other equation, I'm going to make y disappear, because y times 1/3 times 0 is going to be 0. So I'm going to have negative 1/4 x equals 12. Both of these have fractions. Both of them solve the same way. You multiply by the multiplicative inverse. And the multiplicative inverse would be negative 3 over 1. Negative 3 over 1. Cancel, cancel, and y equals 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. So I only have one opening for a y. It has to go here, negative 36. Come over here, do the same thing. Multiply by the multiplicative inverse, and the multiplicative inverse of -1/4 would be -4/1, -4/1. Cancel, cancel. X equals positive times a negative is a negative, and 4 times 12 is 48. So this would be -48. Then you would graph it. Right 0, down 36. Left 48, up 0. Okay? Big numbers, not easy to graph. But in this case, all I asked for was what the intercepts were. Okay, so what's next? Well, what's next would be if you were given a graph and asked to draw a picture by graphing on the intercepts. So let's take a look at a problem here. Let's look at this one right here. Okay, X and Y. So we got X equals -6. Well, that didn't help. Where's that glare coming from? Huh. Oh well, doing my best and I can't seem to get it to go away, so I'm just going to have to raise it up. 2 ways to get rid of the glare. Okay, so again, we're going to put our t-table, x and y. We're going to go 0 and 0. If x equals 0, the equation is -2, y equals -18. And if y equals 0, you have 6x equals -18. Divide by -2, and y equals 9. -18 divided by -2 is 9. Y equals 9. That's this one. Here you have 6x. You're going to divide both sides by 6, and x is going to equal -3. -18 divided by 6, -3. Okay, now we're going to graph these. Over 0, up 9. Over 0, up 2. They're counting by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 9 would be halfway between these two. Then I'm going to go left 3. So 2, 3, 0 would be here. I have 2 points. You draw a line. Hopefully you don't move the paper like I just did. All right. And again, it's not particularly important to be perfect right here. Just getting a little bit of difficulty. It's completely missed. All right, let's try that again. We were here and we were here. And we'll try that again on the straight side. All right. There, this time I went through the lines. Make the line thick enough, it'll go through everything. Okay, that's the intercepts. What's the practical application of this? Well, practical application of this is when you're going to have something like you have here with this word problem. Word problems are always practical application. Okay, so we've got ourselves a farmer. Mr. Gene raises cows and chickens on his farm. Altogether, his cows and chickens have 140 legs. This can be represented by a function, 4x, because 4x, four legs for x. So x is the four-legged creatures. Two-legged creatures are represented by y, and that's 140 legs. So what they want to know is if you had nothing but four-legged creatures, how many would you have? And if you had nothing but two-legged creatures, what would you have? So X is the four-legged creatures. That means that line represents the four-legged creatures, and Y is the two-legged creatures. So again, 4x equals 140. 2x equals 140. Sorry, 2y equals 140. And you find x and y. Divide by 4. 4 goes into 14 3 times, that's 12. 2 left over, and 4 goes into 25 times. Divide by 2, and y equals 70. So what this is saying is, if I had nothing, if I had no four-legged creatures, you gotta forgive me, I did that backward. X is 35, that's the X spot. Y is 70, that's the Y spot. You gotta make sure you put them in the right place because it wasn't making sense. If I have no four-legged creatures, I have 70 animals because I have 70 animals with 2 legs is 140 legs. If I have no two-legged animals, they're all four-legged animals, I'd have 35 animals because 35 animals would be the total. So now I'm going to graph counting by tens. So over 0, up 70, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then 35 would be 10, 20, 30, and 35 would be right here. You have your 2 points. You can draw your line. And since we've already done this and we know that every solution is on the line, if we could find, if I'd drawn this nice and thin, if we went to 15 and we went over, we would be able to tell exactly how many animals were at, I guess I went counted by 10. So 20 would be 10, 20, 30. So you put it in and you can figure out how many two-legged animals and four-legged animals by figuring out points on the line. Anyway, make x equals 0, solve for y. Make y equals 0, solve for x. This is how we graph using nothing but intercepts. Okay, hope that helps.